We're talking about the 28 pages that were redacted from the original 9/11 Commission, whether they will or should be released. Clearly, they should be released. What's there that's embarrassing? We don't know. What we do know is that the vast majority of Saudi Arabia's wealth comes from oil. If it had not found and exploited oil, it would be one of the poorest countries in the world. It would still be primarily a Bedouin society with people living in tents and traveling on camels, okay? That's the simple reality. Now, the bin Laden group, okay, the bin Laden family. Osama bin Laden, the founder of Al-Qaeda, allegedly dead now. The government says they killed him. I believe the government. There are people who still think that he's alive. I think he's dead. The bin Laden group has received hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars in contracts from the Saudi family. The Saudi family is getting its money from oil, okay? So when you see pictures of the bin Laden family with the Bush family, there was a member of the, I don't want to say it incorrectly, they called him the other brother, a Saudi Arabian. Oh, his name slips my mind. I ask your forgiveness. I'll look for it during the commercial. He was so close to the Bush family that he was considered like another brother. The money that Saudi Arabia has that has been given to terrorism is directly connected to oil, all right? The government of the United States knows this. Common sense tells you this. So when they say, well, this 28 pages, what does it show? Does it really matter what it shows? In other words, does the money have to come, a check being written from the Saudi Arabian government or from one of the grandsons or from the bin Laden group? At the end of the day, the money in Saudi Arabia comes from oil. The money that is transferred to terrorists, whether it comes from one of the thousands of grandchildren that are in the House of Saud, the royal family members, or whether it comes from the bin Laden group, who makes its millions and hundreds of millions of dollars also from Saudi oil, or whether it's from some other company or family, individual, it's oil money. And it is used to fund terrorism. And it's also being used right now, for example, in Nigeria, where Saudi money, Saudi oil money, is being used to build madrasas, the teaching schools, and mosques. Nigeria is war-torn. Nigeria is in an on and off civil war with the Christians against the Muslims trying to kill the Christians, the Muslims using terrorism. And the Wahhabi, very strict Orthodox Islam that Muhammad practiced, that involves terrorism and sex slaves and kidnapping and hostage taking and cutting off people's heads, all right? That's the Islam that Muhammad started. That is the Islam that is being taught in Nigeria and funded by the Saudis. So it's almost stupid to ask the question, well, how do they self-radicalize? If you forgive me for carrying Jesus Christ and Christianity with Muhammad and Islam, forgive me for doing it, but let me do it just to prove the point. If you were unchurched and you found a copy of the four Gospels and you read them over and over and over, and you thought, this man Jesus, I believe he's the Son of God. I want to live like him. I want to serve people like him. I want to follow his example. What are you going to do? You're going to be like the early apostles. If you found the four Gospels in the book of Acts, you're going to be poor. You're going to serve people. You're going to care for the sick. You're going to read Matthew 25 and say, I've got to feed the poor, the hungry, and clothe the naked. That's what you would do. It's not, oh, he's self-radicalized. He read those Gospels so many times. Look at what he's done. He's become like St. Francis of Assisi. How could this even happen? You can figure it out. You don't have to be a theologian to figure it out. If you look at the texts, the books called the Hadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, they're behind me on the shelves here, okay? If you read them over and over and over, and you believe them, well, like the person who reads the Gospels and tries to become like Jesus and the apostles, The person who reads this material says, oh, God put a sword in Muhammad's hand so that no one but him could be worshipped. God said that Muhammad was given a sword so that he could make his livelihood from a sword. God said to fight the infidel until none is worshipped but Allah. God said that anyone who causes fitna, disorder in the land, should have their heads cut off or their hands cut off or should be crucified. Okay, I know what to do. I've read the Quran, and more importantly, I've read the Hadith. I've read Ibn Ishaq. I've read Al-Tabari. I've read these biographies of Muhammad. Their canonical version, if you will, of the Gospels. And I hate to even say that because it's a bad illustration. But I'm trying to bring it down to the lowest place where we can reason and understand. So if someone reads this body of literature, they come away saying, Allah Akbar, death to the infidels, the sword to the neck of the infidels. We have to kill hypocrite Muslims who help the infidels. It's all right there, people. We have to kill someone who mocks Muhammad. If someone makes a cartoon of Muhammad, they deserve to die. How do I know this? Because I can read it right here in the literature, okay? It's all right here. So when they say, well, they self-radicalize, or we don't understand why they become so radical. We don't know what we did that makes them hate us. Will you stop? Don't listen to these empty-headed, overeducated, but missing the point commentators on Fox and CNN and CNBC or any of them. Just forget what they're saying until you hear them quoting the Hadith, the Quran, Al-Tabari, Ibn Ishaq, Ibn Kathir. When you hear them quoting the Gospels of the Islamic faith, then you'll understand. Then you'll know that they know. And then you realize they don't have to be taught to commit acts of terror. All they have to do is have their books funded, their madrasas, their schools funded, and let the children read these stories over and over and over and over again. And they're going to say, I want to be like Muhammad. I want to cut off the heads of the infidels. That's what we're dealing with, people. So that whatever the 28 pages of the Saudi blackout from the 9/11 Commission reveal, it's almost irrelevant, okay? We know the Saudis are the largest funder of terrorism in the world. We know that they're not considered state sponsors of terrorism because we have too many economic interests, or our powerful elite do, with their oil money. We know that the Islam that they believe is what Muhammad taught, and they're shipping it around the world. And so, of course, they're directly connected to terrorism. The only issue is whose fingerprints, how high up the Saudi family food chain does the funding and the promotion of terrorism go? i.e., does it embarrass the Bush family because of their long connection with the Saudi family? We'll see. We'll see if they release the report. We'll be back to talk about New York. And is Hillary feeling the burn? She's sweating it.